$5 a gallon for gasoline. Is that in our near future? Yesterday I talked with Oil Price Information Service Chief Oil Analyst Tom Closa. Here's what he had to say to that.
$5 is the number that the fearmongers want to put out there. You know, we may have a flirtation with that if you live in Marin County or Sausalito or maybe Greenwich, Connecticut or whatever, but or even Imus maybe in his big limo that uses probably 100-octane gasoline. But no, $5 should not be something that any discerning buyer has to pay for gasoline this spring, summer, fall, or winter.
Tom Closa says no to $5 gasoline. Our next guest says yes. John Hoffmeister is former CEO of Shell Oil. He joins us with more. John, good to see you. Why $5 this summer, national average?
Well, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I'm afraid I may not be wrong. And the problem is several-fold. Number one, we're going to see production declines in the Gulf of Mexico because of the moratorium and the delays in drilling. And so companies aren't going to predict that in advance. They're going to report it after the fact. So I'm expecting substantial declines in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm expecting China demand to continue to rise. They grew 1 million barrels a day last year. They'll probably grow another 1 million barrels a day this year. I suspect there is zero excess capacity in OPEC, or we would already be seeing it coming into the market. They talk about excess capacity. I don't think it's there. And you sprinkle in the geopolitical distress that is simply inundating the Middle East right now, and the psychology of price drives price more so than other factors, which leads to the volatility. I would love to be wrong, because I think $5 would lead to demand destruction, and it could set back the economic recovery by a large measure. But what if I'm right?
But a couple of things. When we're at 358 today. When we got to 4 back in 2008, the previous all-time high nationwide was $4.11 a gallon. We saw such severe demand destruction, which, by the way, we already see consumption falling, that prices had a difficult time getting above that level. Why wouldn't that happen again at 4? And there's a big, big difference between $4 and $5 for a gallon.
Here's what's different. Because of China demand growth, we've seen 6% less consumption year over year from February a year ago. So demand is down 6% and prices are still climbing north. What the difference is, and a lot of people don't pay enough attention to it, is the global supply does not yield the kind of assurance of future supplies given the growing demand from China and, don't forget, India. And I think that's the difference.
Wouldn't you have to have, because the previous all-time high for oil was roughly $145 a barrel, wouldn't you have to have, in order for that to translate to $5 for a gallon of gasoline nationwide, wouldn't you need to have $200 oil? And once again, that is a long way to go, just in a matter of months.
There are multiple factors that enter into what is the ultimate retail price. Cost of crude oil is one of those factors. Availability of refined product is another factor. And we know that we're closing 3 refineries on the East Coast. Those are 3 refineries that were pumping over 500,000 barrels a day into the East Coast gas tanks. They won't be there this summer. And so the East Coast, a lot of people live on the East Coast, are going to have to rely upon other sources for their refined products, which generally is going to mean imports coming from higher priced crude sources like the Brent crude price. So there's a lot of gives and takes here, a lot of goes ins and goes outs. And I said, I hope I'm wrong. But the reason I say $5 is somebody has to wake up the politicians in this country to say, we have got to tell OPEC to take a hike. We are suffering economic distress at the hands of a cartel because our elected officials don't do anything about it. They punt. They've been punting since Richard Nixon, and Obama is the latest punter, not taking it seriously on the cost to domestic energy because we will not produce our own domestic resources. That's wrong. And if it takes $5 a gallon to make that point, so be it. But I hate the consequences that occur on consumers. But somebody's got to tell these politicians it's their job to change the public policy to produce domestic resources in this country.
John, being a pointer myself, I love a man that points and gets fired up. John Hoffmeister, it was great to see you. Be well. Thank you so much for being here.